I'm researching for my website, trying to answer the question, how are the GFL/Alliance/Resistance movement making the changes that need to be made in order for us to anchor the timelines? I went back to 1950s/60s early contactees. It turns out that ETS learned a thing or two about Earthlings. When they gave them instructions for technology, Earthlings became greedy and thought of ways to make money off of it. That's not what the ETS had intended. They wanted it to be shared so that humanity could benefit, not profit to be made of it by a few. There were others who started to fancy themselves as special or elitist in some ways, puffing up their egos because the ETS had chosen them for contact. I can imagine they were probably cut off after these egotistical symptoms started to appear. I've had people wonder why the ETS haven't come back. Maybe that's why. It went to their heads. The third problem ETS ran into was the Earthling proclivity for considering these ETS to be gods. They're not, and they want us to see them as equals. If you can't see ETS as your equal, if you put them above yourself and pray to them, then you are delaying their introduction into your life. They don't want to be prayed to. Asked for help is another story, but prayed to, no. When you pray, you position yourself as the inferior, and ETS can't work with someone who sees themselves as less than they are. They need us to take responsibility and to do our part, not to continue to want to be rescued. I believe it wasn't for no reason that we have been trained to think this way and to have the egos that we do. It's a natural defense against ascension, for starters, but it also keeps ETS from wanting to work with you. Their solution was to work with channelers. And yes, I've heard of some channelers who profiteer through their work, embellishing the message of the ET they were channeling in order to get more money out of the client. The best channelers are ones who do it for the truth, who do not embellish messages or change the wording they receive. They are also not working for money as much as they are to move the disclosure of extraterrestrial life forward. They cannot be bought. Some of you have tried this with me and you know it doesn't work. What's more, it doesn't get you any favors with me either. You get the same from me as someone who pays my low rates. I'm also not into being Hollywood. I'd rather people not see my face than be recognized in public for what I do. Flattery gets you nowhere with me except perhaps a blatant, okay. What do you want? You can't buy me, you can't flatter me, you perhaps won't even recognize me if you walked by me on the street. That's the way I prefer it, and I believe the ETS do as well. Ashtar and Ivo support every decision I make regarding dealing with the public, by the way, because they have trained me, or perhaps it's innate to my nature, to align with ET requirements of channelers and contactees. If you're like any of these things to any extent, they will not deal with you. Why? Because you, like these other people in the past, will want to misuse and misdirect the use of whatever information is provided to you. This will just continue to feed the reptilian/draconian state that already exists within our mind and our world. In order to create a new world, we need a new mindset, one of caring, sharing, and of non-profiteering. What once was a wealthy mogul now will become a person of service to others and service to God, who shares their wealth with all others who are needy. This is what the soul does. The insecure mindset that depends on the opinion of others is exchanged for confidence in one's own ability to be unique and to stand alone, to express one's mind, or to put through a message from an ET that would blow minds. Believe me, it took me a while to be able to do that. I was too afraid in the beginning to put forward anything that couldn't be confirmed through other sources. Now I don't care. If they say it, I write it. Archangel Michael's yesterday is an example of that. I contradict the going narrative in our community all the time. I use other means to check the validity of what Ivo is saying, and that is, I check it against what I know about vibration and frequency. Like Tesla said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. That's what Ivo has taught us, and that's how the universe works. So does Earth. It's not an exception. All of this that's going on now has to do with vibration, frequency, and energy. I don't draw undue attention to myself in doing this work. It's the work and the message that are more important than I am. My life has provided the structure for Ivo's messages, and that's because my life was rather typical in that there were many mind control programs at work in my childhood, along with an unhealthy dose of attachment of negative manifestations in my family. Never mind good old Tertian, my reptilian, may he rest in peace. Look at Simon Parks. He's a perfect example of the humility and open-heartedness I'm speaking of. It's kind of a pity that since he signed that non-disclosure agreement he's been very tight-lipped, but I believe he's packing and getting prepared for the huge change he's been asked to bring about in this world. Ivo, What other problems did early ET contacts bring up? Ivo, thank you, my love. Early ET contacts often brought up problems with distraction. The fact is, your everyday lives of working, shopping, and caring for a family leave little time for exploration of the stars and extraterrestrial life, at least for many it did. And you see now that people are making a go of making a living from it because they have to meld the two needs, their inner need to explore and to be a channel for us, and their external need to take care of their physical lives as it is accomplished in this day and time. Of course, that will change, but for now, it is what it is. This is a huge distraction. The other problem we had is with disbelief. We had to contract with people who would continue to believe in themselves as alien life, as is the case with you, who may have forgotten that fact when you were younger, but in fact you did continue to believe in alien life, and that was sufficient. That is something we can work with. For the non-believers, it is more difficult, but it has been done. Me, yes, if you read Debbie Solaris' bio on our website, she talks about her ET-loving husband and the fact that she was actually taken aboard a craft and introduced to extraterrestrial life, as well as having been given her gift that she uses now in her work. Ivo, yes. This is another means, to have a family member or spouse who believes. Me, yes, we don't tend to be quiet about it, do we? LOL. Ivo, no, nor should you be. Me, I like my neighbor's case. Her father was fishing at the only lake to be found here for miles, Loch Garry, and then a craft appears and shows itself to him. So he's a believer and made one out of her. Ivo, a little spacecraft can go a long way. We used to buzz commercial aircraft until it was noticed that there was more fear produced than curiosity about our ships. Yes, there are people in these craft who are not used to aviation in the first place, and are afraid of flying, then seeing a spacecraft, which is another thing that the DS put the fear of in your heads. It was counterproductive for us. It worked better when we would play with your military aircraft. Sometimes they were aggressive, but other times they were not. These men felt more secure while flying, in fact they enjoyed it, and there have been times our craft have had games of tag with these craft during their maneuvers. Me, I didn't know that. Ivo, we didn't tell you everything, my love. Perhaps some of you recall hearing from a friend or relative in your flying military who swore the craft was playing games with them. Well, they were. They were being friendly. Me, I know they do that to people on the ground as well. Play games to show them that they know we're watching. Ivo, yes, we do this. We are very aware of what you are thinking and feeling. Me, so what other problems occurred in your first days of contacting the public? You talked about distraction, you talked about fear, you talked about disbelief. What else was encountered? Ivo, there came a time in the 50s when abduction propaganda was carried out in the sci-fi theater. Me, oh yeah, campy B-grade movies about abductions. Ivo, these further scared your people into believing we had hostile intentions, even though everything we did to ensure them we were friendly was overlooked. Me, yes, fear does that. Ivo, this is why you have these movies in your cinema and on television, to prevent you from linking up with people on Earth. We found children were typically easier to approach because they have innate curiosity and are not as fearful as adults. So we approached people when they were younger to show ourselves to them. Often they see us once or twice, until much later on in lifetime, and the reason for this has to do with development of their minds. If they sway to the side of egotism, they may very well never hear from us again. But if they are more conscious, open-hearted, and spiritual in nature, then we may have someone we can work with. Me, what did you think of me when I was younger? LOL. Ivo, with you, we understood there was much that had to be cleared away before real contact could begin. We attempted to speak with you several times, but you had the habit of denying your intuitive side and had it set away within your shadow, as many people do. You would hear your intuition or you would predict something correctly, but then you would dismiss it or would choose in favor of your intellect instead. We had to break you of your intellectual habits, and that meant leaving Toronto because you were heavily invested in the wrong mindset by that time. So you left and were bored. Then we had you where you needed to be. Me, yes. I thought I knew it all. I didn't know a damned thing. Ivo, correct, my love. There are many things you need to know, 12 dimensions of things. You were only aware of a fraction of one, and this was based on lies. Me, yup. My lie days. Gone forever, don't want to relieve them. And I think that makes a good point, Ivo, and that is sometimes your higher self will take you away from what you're doing. You might lose a job, lose a lover, break up a relationship or move away from your city because it needs you to change your focus. So it provides you with opportunity to do so. My opportunity came in the way of a crazed drug addict who was seeking to kill me. Yeah, that's how I used to roll. Not anymore. Now I just deal with smelly archons at night. I found an astral snake the other day too. If people knew just how compromised they are by things they can't see, they'd be shocked. Ivo, yes, truly. If all could learn good energetic maintenance. Chakra clearing, chakra healing, energy body healing, fixing tears and rips in the aura so that no hooks or cords can get in. Me, interesting in this book I'm reading he says that anything on the skin like a blemish, mole or other mark is indicative that an attachment has its hooks into you. The skin is the next thing to the energy body and when the energy body is compromised, so can the skin show it as well. He says make a cross in a circle over the blemish in blue ballpoint ink and it'll fade away. I'll have to look. I think I have something on my inner knee somewhere. Makes sense. Ivo, it does when it is explained. Very well, then, you are tiring, so we will end here. I am enjoying your plans for our home, my love. I hear your thoughts and your ideas are intriguing. Me, LOL.